Hi, this is the astrology forecast for anyone born under the sun sign Aries, and I'm going to give you a kind of rundown of what's coming up for you in June 2015. Now, I'm going to do this a little bit differently this month. I am going to really focus on the astrology, and I'm going to do that much more in depth than I usually do. My usual astrology forecasts are about the planets, what signs they occupy, where they're going, how that affects you, and then I draw a tarot card to give you an overall theme. But I'm going to do that differently this month. What I'm going to do is I'm going to really continue to do what I did before in terms of the planets, where they are and how they interact, but I'm going to spend a little bit more time looking at the aspects, so the way the planets are moving around and the way they kind of interact with each other. And I think that's going to give you a really in-depth kind of view for June 2015. So we're going to be spending a little bit longer together, so I'll see how I go, but I'm going to just try and give you the whole picture, the complete overview. Okay, so on the 2nd of June, starting straight away, there's a full moon occurring in Sagittarius in your 9th house, Aries, okay? And your 9th house is the house that's traditionally ruled by Sagittarius. It's about expansion, it's about growth, it's about spirituality and learning something about yourself. So a full moon is like putting a spotlight or shining a light on something. So your ability to expand, to learn new things, to discover more about the world, about your spirituality, to discover more about your own beliefs, really is highlighted around this period of the full moon on the 2nd. So really expect to understand something that you didn't understand before. Spiritual awakening, a feeling of connection with the universe, but there's something really fundamentally expansive about you on this day. A couple of days later, on the 6th of June, Venus, the goddess of love, is in Leo in your 5th house of romance, and it moves into that sign from Cancer into Leo, okay? And Venus makes a lot of noise this month. It's involved in a lot of interactions with other planets. It's running around. It's really visible in terms of June. And the fact that it's in Leo in your 5th house means that you really want to shine in terms of your romantic life. And you also want to shine in terms of your sense of humor, you know, your sense of silliness, your ability to kind of laugh and just have fun and let your hair down and be funny. And it also has to do with kids, and like not just children in terms of you get on well with children, but you have that inner child really awakened in you, and you really love to just kind of enjoy yourself and not take things too seriously. That happens on the 6th of June, and it's a great time to just kind of enjoy the summer. It's very much a positive, upbeat, light-hearted kind of outlook to life. Now, there's something quite significant that's happening next, and that's one of the outer planets, Jupiter, and the outer planets move much more slowly. That sextiles, so it's 60 degrees away from Mars, and that connection between these two, the planet of good luck and the planet of aggression and desire, that relationship is in place between the 31st of May and the 11th of June, so pretty much 2 weeks, okay? And that happens for you in your 3rd house and 5th house. Now, Jupiter is joining your Venus in that sector of romance and having fun. And remember, Jupiter is all about good times. It's about growth and expansion and really having a positive outlook. So Jupiter and Venus there together are really causing you to have a lot of fun times at the beginning of this month. And that sextile with Mars in the 3rd means that you won't be shy about communicating what you feel, what you desire, what's really on your mind, and I think you'll be quite outspoken. Now, that's very good, being outspoken. A lot of people like that. Other people don't like that so much. So I remember, you know, the late Joan Rivers, she was saying that she had a new assistant who prided himself on being forthright and telling her the truth. But she didn't want that. She wanted someone to suck up to her and tell her how fabulous she was. So look at the context of where you're being outspoken. If it's in a romantic sense, I think it'll be really good. I think people will warm to you and will get to know you. But if it's in a kind of professional situation, then just kind of try and hold back and don't tell your boss that you think he's an idiot, for instance. Okay, that usually doesn't go down very well. Another connection that's going on between a similar time frame between the 31st of May and the 12th of June, so again 2 weeks, is that Saturn, the planet of structure and solidity and often restriction, it trines, so it connects very nicely with Venus. And what that does is these 2 weeks between the beginning or the end of May really and the middle of June is that there's real structure and solidity in terms of your affections. And you're not undecided about who you love, what you care about. You know what it is you like. It's very clear. It's like hitting a bell and it makes a sound and you know when that ding happens in your life. You know, you just feel it. So don't expect your feelings and your opinions and your ideas to really be under the radar very much. They're not going to be. They're going to be out there, big, bold, going to tell you exactly what you like, what you don't like. Now, Mercury, the planet of communication, that comes out of retrograde on the 12th of June and it stays in Gemini all month. Yes. So Mercury is the planet of communication. In mythology, it was Hermes, the messenger of the gods, and he zipped around and he delivered messages. Okay, so when it's in retrograde, it means that communication becomes a little bit more stifled, becomes a little bit more difficult, and it becomes less easy. People misunderstand each other a little bit more. When it comes out of that on the 12th, it means that communication flows again. But it doesn't just flow. I really feel that communication on the 12th is more like a dam bursting, because Mercury is in Gemini, the sign that it rules. So it's very comfortable in that. It's an air sign. It feels very much at ease in that element. And then it's also in the 3rd house of communication. So communication for you, dear Aries, is going to be fantastic around the 12th, and it's really time to start now applying for new jobs, to sign contracts, to look at all the paperwork. It's a really good time to do that. In terms of the elements on this day, the 12th of June, it's very much air. There's a lot going on in air. We've got 4 planets in air in the 3rd house there. We've got the north node of the moon in air in your 7th house of relationship. They connect, harmoniously connecting you with other people. And then there's also a lot going on in fire. 2 planets in your 1st house, 2 planets in your 5th house of romance, another planet in your 9th house of expansion. So ideas, expansion, passion, desire, drive, all of that is really highlighted in the middle of June. And if you think of a fire, if you fan that, you know, with a newspaper or something, and you add more air to it, it grows and it builds, and that passion is increased. So the more you communicate, the more you put yourself out there, the better, the faster things will happen for you. Now, Mercury has a relationship as well with another planet during this month, specifically between the 8th of June and the 13th of June. And Mercury is actually in sextile, so 60 degrees away from, and it's a positive kind of connection. It's in connection with Venus, the goddess of love again. You see, this is where she's making all these appearances. Venus is in the 5th house. Mercury is in that 3rd house. So now, what is it that I want to communicate? What is it that I love? Remember, at the beginning of the month, Mars was there, and it was very much forcefulness. Now you are a little less forceful, and you're more a speaker, but also a listener. So I think things calm down a little bit for you with Mars connecting with Venus there, and you're really able to communicate in a loving way, in an open way, in an intelligent way as well, because you're emotionally intelligent and you're thinking with love. You know, how would love act in this situation is going to be something that's fundamental to you, and you're really going to come across very well to people, and you're going to get on with people very well. So that's super positive. The next thing is something that's quite interesting, and the outer planets move very slowly. So in astrology, we talk about the personal planets, Mercury, Mars, Venus, and then we talk about the outer planets. So Jupiter, Saturn, Neptune, Uranus, and Pluto. And the outer planets move very slowly. Now, the outer planet Pluto has been in a square connection, which is 90 degrees, with Uranus. since March 2012, okay? Pluto is the underworld and is kind of rebirth. Uranus is the unexpected and its rebellion and its miracles. There's been friction between these two. So something new has been emerging since March 2012, and that relationship has really been quite strong and focused. If you remember, if you kind of cast your mind back to 21st of December 2012, there was all of that talk about, you know, the end of the world and this new paradigm occurring. And that's something that's been happening since. You know, a lot of people have woken up spiritually. A lot of people have become much more insightful and in tune with their reality. And that connection actually stops for the first time on the 13th of June. So that kind of friction that you feel between rebelling within yourself and sensing a kind of rebirth in terms of the way you approach the world, it kind of lightens up a bit. It's like you're not on so much of a crusade anymore to kind of become the person you're meant to be, and I think you start to become a little bit more accepting of yourself and just a bit more chilled. You're just like, you know, I don't need to build Rome in a day. I don't need to save every kind of minority or charity group. It's not my personal responsibility on this day. Well, it still is, but I don't have to kill myself today to kind of get everything done. So it's a little bit, the crusade comes to a little bit of a pause, okay? It stops for a couple of weeks and then it picks up again later because these planets are very big and they, you know, they're kind of like this with each other, but they kind of move away a little bit. So you get a kind of respite from that energy of having to change everything and having to go out and march. Saturn moves into Scorpio on the 15th of June, and it stays there until the 18th of September. Now this is again another outer planet. This is very interesting. I did a separate video on this, Saturn in Sagittarius. Saturn is in Sagittarius for the best part of 3 years, between, I think, December 2014 and really December 2017. In that 3-year period, it retrogrades for the 3 months that are occurring now, starting the 15th of June, and it stays in Scorpio for 3 months. And remember, Saturn is about restriction and putting things under the spotlight and making things a little bit more challenging. And I think the brakes are going to be on a little bit from the 15th of June in terms of your emotional volatility. I think you're going to feel a lot more stability in terms of your feelings, your emotions, what it is you love. And I think you're going to be more reluctant to look at the deep, dark, you know, nooks and crannies of your soul. But if you do decide to do that, you can really make inroads into letting go of painful things from your past. Because Saturn is tough, it feels tough, but once you embrace the energy of Saturn, you can establish solid long-term foundation in your life. Okay, so that's happening for the 3 months until September, and you may want to make use of that. If you've been in therapy or something for a while, or if you've not made the personal progress that you want to in terms of your own growth, it's a good time to start to look at that and to really do some serious work. Again, I just want to clarify, the tendency is going to be to have fun and to not delve into the emotions. And most people will say, you know, this summer is about fun and I'm going to do stuff and I'm going to go traveling and I'm going to sip pina coladas on the beach and all of that. But if you're someone who really wants to, who's been frustrated, something's been niggling at you, the summer is also a good time to almost force yourself to look at those things, and then really it's a great time to be able to detox some of the things that hold you back. The new moon occurs on the 16th, and the new moon is a time of intention setting. So it coincides, well, it almost coincides Saturn moving into Scorpio, but the new moon here is in Gemini. So set intentions around what it is you want to communicate. The new moon is almost like a fresh start. In terms of the astrology, it's the beginning of the month, because that's when the energy is kind of galvanized and sucked in, and that's in the 3rd house of communication. So the question moving forward is, how am I going to communicate? What am I willing to speak about? What do I want to speak about? What interests me? Now, the next day, on the 17th, Jupiter kind of comes back around, and so does Venus, who's been making a lot of appearances this month. And Jupiter and Venus, they've been in the 5th house together, and they actually conjunct now. They move together so closely that they're interacting, okay? And when that happens, when two planets conjunct, they kind of meld and blend their energies. So think of this as a love bomb going off in your 5th sector. You're really going to feel much more loving within yourself. Your circumstances are going to look more loving. More love will be in your life, and it's almost like you see the world through pink, rose, what are they called? Rose-tinted glasses, and you see love everywhere. That lasts, that conjunction, until the 14th of August. So, for almost a complete month. And for you, Aries, this is a fantastic, fabulous, amazing time for romance and love in your life. Jupiter is such good luck. Aphrodite is great. If you think of these also in their kind of mythological incarnations, you've got, you know, sexy old Jupiter and really affectionate and kind of happy-go-lucky Venus kind of coming together and really throwing a great party here for you from June until August. And when these two get together, sparks are going to fly and things are going to go really well. So show up for that party and really make yourself available. The other thing about Uranus, not Uranus, Jupiter, who I've just mentioned here, he's been in another connection with one of the outer planets for a while. The 3rd of March until the 22nd of June, Jupiter has been trining, so he's been 120 degrees away from Uranus, which is the rebel planet, which I spoke about earlier with that Pluto connection. Now, that ends, okay? And that has been a kind of sense of I'm embracing my own uniqueness, my own quirkiness, my own things about me that may not be so acceptable or that I may see as a little bit rebellious. It kind of becomes a little bit easier. And again, the crusade ends in terms of I have to be me, I have to be me, I have to be true to myself. It's almost like there's been that militant sense of I have to own my identity so strongly. And it's almost like you lay back a little bit and you just relax about that sort of thing. It's like you've got nothing to prove anymore and you know who you are without having to go on a rampage about it. Finally, to end the month, Mars makes a little bit of a move here. He moves out of Gemini, and your communication becomes less aggressive, less powerful, and it becomes much more gentle because Mars moves into Cancer in the 4th house on the 25th. And you start to think about the feelings of others a little bit, and the feelings of others become very, very important to you around this time of the month. So, again, that's good because, yeah, I mean, if you make other people your priority, you help them in their lives, and you get out of yourself. And often when we get out of ourselves, we can really add benefits to the lives of others. So that's very positive. The only thing with Mars in Cancer is that it is a kind of fiery planet, and it's like taking a fireball and throwing it into a glass of water. It's not going to be that comfortable, and I think if people cross you, you may be a little bit sharp. You could get a little bit fiery and irritable, so just watch out for that at the end of the month. So that's it in terms of the astrology. I hope you found that much more in depth and to give you kind of more insights into the way your planets are interacting with each other. If you would like a private reading with me to have a look at how your natal chart is affected by all of this, then please get in touch with me via my website. It's gregoryscott.com. You can also reach me by email. The address is readings@gregoryscott.co.uk. And please remember to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Have a fantastic June, and I will speak to you soon.